When I first came here, we had a 2-colour machine and a 3-colour machine. Now it's changed so much, and the industry's moved on as you go through the years, and the machines have got quicker, the speeds and the presses have. Also plate technology now, a plate takes literally minutes to produce with the digital revolution. So things have changed incredibly. Our lead times back in the 80s were 3-4 months with the material and the machinery. Now we can turn things around in 1-2 days. When we started on this journey in 2006, it was always a case of we were going to be very well invested in machinery and technology. So our CEO always said, no, this is where we need to be at the forefront, and always looking for a point of difference. So he was actively looking for new technology out of the market all the while. And when you look at the machinery, every time you've had a bottleneck, you've looked at it and thought, no, we need to invest in the new machinery. And that's involved presses, die cutters and gluers. So all the way through, we've looked for that point where we think this will make a difference to our business. So we've always tried to remove the bottlenecks. And that was the case with MIS as well. We've looked at the technology there, and we've used various MIS systems in the past. And then we reached a point where we thought, right, we need to go to the next step and help us gather a lot more data so that we can then use that to move the business forward. So we reached a point where quite a bit in the early years was done on a gut feel, and this is how we're running the business. And it worked, but as you grow and you get bigger, you realise you need to put some science into this. And while our previous MIS system helped, we thought there was another step possible. So that's when we started the journey of looking for a new MIS system. And there were specific areas that we wanted to look at. Planning system, we wanted it to be more flexible. Our previous one was, it was okay, but wasn't flexible enough. Again, on the estimating costing side, we know we needed to do more on that. So we looked at all of these various MIS systems, pros, cons, etc. But when we met the guys from Imprint, they seemed to share a similar sort of goal. They're a family-owned business, and their ethos was right. When we talked to them, they were prepared to be flexible, like Simply Cartons was. So it seemed to fit. When we asked them questions at the demonstration, yes, we can fix this, or we can tailor it to you guys. So at that point we thought, well, these actually want to go on a journey with us. They're the people to partner with, rather than the others. You were more or less getting a system that they would put in, and yes, that's the system you use. You have to change your ethos to go with their system. Whereas we thought with Imprint, it would be a partnership rather than we're selling you a system. And at a point we've decided, right, we're going to go for this.
I think historically, the systems that we had within the company served one purpose. That purpose was just to carry data, lines of data, information, visible stuff that could be printed on the sheet for anybody within the factory to pick up and look at. But the problem you get with that is a lot of the things that you need clarification on and the data that you need to collect is also visible. So historically, for instance, there was email back and forth always going on to do with people who were technically specialists in giving the information, passing them on via email, and then it would possibly be misread and transferred onto the MIS system incorrectly, or it might be missed completely, and that then becomes a problem when you're in production. The whole point of it for the guys to do with my department, pre-press, was to make them not have to do repetitive tasks over and over again and just concentrate their skill sets on what they're good at, which is reproing files. This has regimented all of that. So a lot of the way that the information is put to the pre-press department, or the pre-press department put to the commercial department, it's all the same method each time. So there's no room for human error. So there you've got cost to quality that's being improved. So a lot of people got into more of a rhythm of how to work, and that obviously then gives you more efficiency.
We as a company are always quite happy to challenge might be too hard a word, but to explain why a process or a way of working is fundamental to that company. And I think that's one of the things that we clicked with Simply Cartons, because understanding their process, so it's taking the time to understand why they do things the way they do things, and then maybe challenging it. So then understanding their business well enough to then introduce new ideas, new ways of working. I think that's what made us stood out. We're not fans of saying no. So then understanding as we move forwards, us demonstrating, well, we know how you work and we know what your pressure points are, your bottlenecks are. So then prioritizing those elements for when we then were implementing the system. And we quickly knew that a company that is spending so much time on that front end, a bit like we do actually, that they're using that time to really understand their customers and to actually provide them with something unique and important and of benefit to them.
What we wanted to do when we started talking about designing it with Imprint, and the key thing for Imprint was the whole flexibility that we spoke about with them at the beginning, where you could build it from the ground up. We had the possibility of just designing it ourselves, for ourselves, with what we wanted in it. So from that, with the participation of departments like pre-press, print and commercial, we could gather what we could do to resolve our current issues. And then it was a case of designing the system that would be able to communicate, as in task-based communication, and have everything that we wanted in there, like the job record cards as products, with everything that piece of data needed to be produced within the factory.
And it's like a lot of people will look at an investment in an MIS system and say, well, it's not a machine, is it? Where am I getting my return on it? But you see the return in the fact that the speed of things going through. It's helped us with the front end, CTP and plate making, customers' artwork, etc. It's taken some of the workload away from the commercial office. So a lot of that pre-press element is now dealt with in the pre-press department, looking at the specifications with the customers. So that has speeded that side of things up. It's also more integrated now, with guys in the factory can feed back through to back into the commercial office a lot better. The tasks run, that sort of thing, where we ask for information. So trust me, it's made a big difference to the business because of the way it allows us to do things now. But as we start to see those things feed back, we can start to make a better informed decision. Yes, our gut feeling was right for quite a lot of the time, but now you're actually getting that data to say, yes, you are making the right decisions. And you can use that data then, next costings and things like that. So, repeat orders to look to see, is this worth us carrying on with, or have I got to have a conversation with our customers, or, what do we do best? Does it go down a different machine? Is that better for this item? So, yes, there's a wealth of data in the database now, and we're fortunate we've got somebody called Brendan that is able to interrogate that database quite well in the background. So he's got used to the system quite well. So it's been very good.
The key benefits of working with Imprint were the fact that you got access to the guys that were actually programming. So we understood at the very beginning that it is like you are live beta testing a piece of software. So there were going to be hiccups in the process, but whenever we raised the issues, we had quick reactions to that. There was good management by the Imprint guys to prioritise the ones that needed prioritising, and then basically putting categories on other things that were basically wish list things that needed doing for the future, and so on.
So all the modules went in, literally from estimating right the way through to final distribution of the goods. So estimating, job ad creation, through production planning, purchasing, we use all those modules. From that all integrates into a costing system. So we're still getting used to that as well. So that's we're only about 1.5 years in. So that's the next big thing that we want to focus on. And warehousing, we use it for that. Initially, we had to do some development work on the way we warehouse, because we store goods for our customers. We offer them a 3-month storage program for some of our customers. And we had to develop a program specifically so that we could call our products off and deliver them to the customers. But through the whole business, we've also developed a system on what they call dashboard, which helps us generate tasks for our studio and also tasks for estimating. So it moves backwards and forwards throughout the business. That helps us with the studio planning, the design briefs, etc. And it's such a flexible program that we can create the forms that we want to use as we go along. It's not a case of that's the form you're having, you have to make it work. We can develop with Imprint, this is how we want it to work. Yes, if you do this, that will work for that. If you do that, that will work for this. So it's a very flexible system. And again, within our ethos, that's what we like, to be flexible.
We knew almost immediately that estimating was extremely important to be accurate and to be able to be produced quickly through the system. So this is one of the main things we concentrated on with Simply Cartons, getting their estimating system right, using our layout designer, which is based on a series of templates, which you can then change the layouts on those things, and then all the way, and starting off simple with that, and then looking at things like, right, now let's look at composite sheets. So now we're looking at several items on a sheet and how that's the best way to work it.
Our presses are on the system now, and we're just putting the die cutters on, and the plan is to roll it out to the other machines in the next couple of months. So yeah, it was a case of let's get the front end sorted first. Now we've moved on and we're in the process of putting the machine monitoring on, and that will start to feed back into the planning system and also the costing system. Most of the time people were engaged with the system. I thought, right, yes, we're going to use this, get involved and make it work. That way you also find out a lot of the areas where you need to tweak things to put them to how we want them. And that was the case. Again, Imprint were happy to work with us. It's been good because the guy that trained us actually has a background in cartons. So when you're asking questions that are industry specific, he knew what we were talking about. So you're not going to try and explain this is what we actually wanted to do and this is why and what we do. He knew where it was, all the, what we wanted and what we were after. And also every time we've wanted to know something, the guys are always there. You either put a support ticket in or pick the phone up and talk to them. And it's never been a no, right, we can't help you. It's always, right, we'll have a Teams meeting and let's discuss it. And they've been very flexible like that. And since then we've been on a journey together.
When we were putting the system in, it was during the pandemic, so the sourcing of raw materials was difficult, or not being able to get standard sizes. So making sure you've got enough raw material to deliver on that deadline, using the production planning, and then in turn the machine monitoring, shop floor data capture was vital for Simply Cartons to be able to put those systems in. And now we're as far down the line we are, it's finessing those systems and always going back to it and improving it. Having come out the other side and achieved as much as we've achieved at this site, it's something to be very proud of.
We're always looking for the new technology. Where's that next point of difference? But, talking and building those relationships with our customers, and it's about building that team to move that forward. In terms of Imprint, that is only helping us, provide more tools for the guys to make things slicker. So it's trying to streamline that process throughout the whole business. So we're always pushing forward and looking for new opportunities.